say it again. Arugula, potato, asparagus, salad. It's going to be really good. So, new recipe for the medical medium, a new edition. Can't wait for you guys to read this book. That's the recipe right there. You see the potatoes in there, but I got a lot going on right here, so I'm excited. So this is going to be great. And you know what we're talking about? We're talking about why you should avoid certain foods and how come. Not just why, how come, what are they, what to avoid. If you want to make it to the finish line, if you want to make it to that place of, hey, I'm better, I got all these symptoms better, I got my condition better, I got my Hashimoto's better, I got my lupus better, I got my Lyme better, whatever it is you're dealing with, got me my acne better, my eczema better, it's good to know what you should avoid and for what reason. We're going to talk about that. So this is going to be a fun one. And I'm making some food right now, you guys. I better get going on this food because this is going to take a minute. So I'm making arugula, asparagus, potato salad. It's going to be fun. Good to see you guys. Sally Arnold, great to see you. Amazing. So glad you're here. Love you too. Incredible. So look, you guys, I'm going to be chopping up some stuff right here. I'm going to start steaming some things. I'm going to steam some Brussels sprouts. So let me start getting those going. I'm going to cut the Brussels sprouts in half, okay? That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to steam them up, cut in half. So they'll steam up quicker that way too. Bettina says, I got my Hashimoto's better after following your protocol. Incredible. So proud of you. Very, very proud of you. Okay? Because you can take yourself as far as you want to go with your healing process. You just have to do the stuff. You got to do the work. I'm chopping some Brussels sprouts right here. So we're talking about why foods cause problems, why you should avoid them, what foods are they, and I'll tell you right now, okay, you guys, if you don't know what foods to avoid, you're just gonna get yourself in trouble and end up doing those foods again. We're all not perfect. You know, we're gonna get into trouble. We're gonna eat something we're probably not supposed to eat, or whether we know it or not, it's just gonna happen. But I want you guys to know what to look out for. Keep an eye on stuff, you know, so that you're staying safe when you want to be. Well, if you guys want to make a choice and say, look, I want to eat this food. I know AW says this food isn't good. I know AW says this food is going to be a problem, but I want to eat it. Well, you're making the choice. Okay, you're making the choice. That's your right. But what if you don't know? You know why everybody starts eating gluten again? Yeah, I'm off gluten. I stopped gluten, but yet they ate gluten. Yeah, I'm gluten-free. I'm gluten-free. I had it last week, but I'm gluten-free. Yeah, no, I had gluten like twice last month. You know, I have gluten like 3 times a week, but I'm still trying to be gluten-free, you know? You know why people don't stay completely gluten-free? Because they really don't know what it causes, what it contributes to, what the problems are when you're eating gluten, and why they're sick and what their symptoms are caused by. If you don't know any of that, you're just going to be like, yeah, what the heck? I'll have some gluten right now. Let me do that. Somebody said disappeared. Where are you? I'm on YouTube Live, so if you guys get booted or kicked off, or the app is acting weird or something, there's a glitch on Facebook, just head over to YouTube, because I'm YouTube Live right now. Michelle, you ate arugula, asparagus, and potatoes today? Whoa, I can't believe it. Then again, you eat really good. I know you eat really well. I know that. So anyway, you guys, so what you're looking at right here is you're looking at a meal that doesn't have radical fats. Because, okay, Michelle, sounds like you didn't have any radical fats today. It sounds like you didn't have any milk, cheese, butter, eggs. Sounds like you didn't have any bacon. It sounds like you didn't have any kind of pork, right? Doesn't sound like you had any chicken or any beef. It doesn't sound like you had nut butters. It doesn't sound like you had, you know, seeds and nuts and sunflower seeds and hemp seeds and peanut butter and macadamia nut butter. It doesn't sound like you had any of that. It doesn't sound like you had olives. It doesn't sound like you have oils, coconut oil, sesame oil, olive oil, tahini, right? Doesn't sound like you had any of that. But I know that a lot of people do. I mean, think about what everybody's eating, and maybe people have avocado toast, then they'll take a couple of tablespoons of peanut butter and throw it in their smoothie. Maybe they'll throw it on their acai bowl. Maybe they'll throw it on their oatmeal, right? Did you guys have oatmeal this morning, any of you? Okay. And you'll throw fats on there. Now, see, I'm not going to be able to stop you guys from eating fats every day. Most of you guys are just going to do it. And you're going to do it continuously every single day. And there's no stopping you. It's not like, I'm not trying to be like, a problem and be, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, That's not it. It's just that it's good to take a break when you can. Maybe take a day off. Maybe do one of the cleanses and cleanse to heal and take a week off. Maybe do the 3-6-9 advanced and all that. Because what happens, you guys are doing all this fat and all that fat builds up in the arteries. All that fat builds up in the veins, and that's what happens there. Michelle says, I got my Hashimoto antibodies down from 404 to 33 following you. Amazing. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. What happens is when you're doing the fats every day, when you do the pork, when you do the bacon, when you do the milk, cheese, butter, when you do the nut butters, this goes plant-based too. This isn't, just because we're plant-based, say we're vegan, right? Or say vegetarian or something, or say we're plant-based, right? It doesn't mean you're safe from getting all that plaque and all that buildup inside your heart, inside your valves, inside your veins. Because you're not. It builds up in everybody. Everybody gets it in there. Next thing you know it, they get the microscope shoved up their leg through a vein. It's going up there. They're looking for collapsed arteries, collapsed veins, all that stuff. Next thing you know it, you're getting stents put in and you get in trouble. So it's good to take some breaks on the fats, because guess what? There's fat in everything. There's omegas in these Brussels sprouts right here. Yep, there's omegas in the Brussels sprouts that I'm putting in here. There's omegas in here. So I got some Brussels sprouts here. I'm going to do some asparagus too. I'm steaming up Brussels sprouts, steaming up asparagus. That's what I'm doing right now. Let me get these going here. Steaming these up. Any advice to heal adrenal fatigue? And this book is packed with that information. There's an adrenal fatigue chapter in this new edition. Check it out, Amazon.com. The book's coming out literally in a couple weeks. Link is in the description. It's really comprehensive on the adrenals, of how to restore them. This is where the adrenal snacks came from. All of that. So many ways of recovering adrenals. And I'll talk about adrenals a little bit too, why I got you guys here. I'll do that. Look, you can go to get the book out of the library if you want. When the book comes out, just ask your library to stock it or find it or something, and try to get it out for free if you don't have the money to get the book right now. You can totally do the library. That's fine, guys. I'm putting asparagus in here just so you know. Chopping up some nice asparagus. Steaming up these Brussels sprouts, steaming up these asparagus. This is great. You guys just came on making the arugula, potato, asparagus salad. All right, so I'm going to steam these up. Got it on max, so we're doing that. Noel, not only have I healed so much, you indeed, you open to the divine. To know who I really am. That is the greatest gift. So basically, incredible. That's incredible. I mean, you know what? One thing I can tell you is when you're healing symptoms and conditions like you did, and then you spiritually grow and you spiritually heal and you spiritually move forward, and you learn who you truly are, and your soul heals from wounds. A lot of people have betrayal inside their soul. They got a lot of hurt. They got a lot of broken trust. They have a lot of different things that have happened in their life emotionally, and they go through hard times. And it also can come side by side with chronic illness. Any kind of chronic illness. When you're healing that chronic illness, you start healing everything, and you just really get in touch with who you are and heal. And I'm so proud of you. I really am. So you guys, let's talk about foods not to eat. So Joanne says, I love all these foods, but hard for me to eat. So look, you take one day at a time. You eat what you can, what you feel. Leslie says 5 to 6 years following, no foods, but digestion has tanked. Why? Will this be hard to digest? So what's going on in your life? Are you really stressed out? I know that if we're really stressed out, our guts don't want to digest properly. I mean, if anything's happening, any kind of stress, any kind of financial stress, any kind of other stress, anything like that, and our digestive system gets really exhausted from that. You know, our nerves, our vagus nerve gets affected. So a lot of times when we go through anything in life, any kind of trauma, any kind of struggle, our vagus nerve tightens up. It tightens up, and our digestive system just has a difficult time. Are you eating a lot of grains? Those are a little actually, a lot more difficult to digest. Are you eating a lot of meat? Are you eating a lot of fat? All that's difficult to digest. So is your digestive system tanking because there's any milk, cheese, butter, ice cream, eggs, bacon, too much chicken, too much beef, any processed foods at all? Any of that? Maybe you're eating really good, but you're eating too much avocado. I'm trying to help you be your own detective here. And are you doing chocolate, nutritional yeast? Are you doing vinegar? Are you doing apple cider vinegar? Are you doing caffeine? All these things can really tank the digestive system, and they can tank them over time. They can do that. They can tank the digestive tract over time. So if you're doing any kind of caffeine or chocolate, you can tank your digestive tract, because not only does the chocolate is it high in fat, but what happens is the caffeine hits the adrenals really hard, and once your adrenals start to weaken, digestion starts to weaken, the liver starts to weaken, because when our adrenals are really overrun and overtaxed by caffeine, our liver just starts to get overburdened, so that the digestion eventually starts to fall apart. But really, I mean, have you tried the mono eating cleanse? Have you tried the mono eating cleanse? Have you tried the potato mono eating cleanse? The banana papaya mono eating cleanse? Have you tried any of that? So that's what I've always recommended other people to do, doctors and stuff. Doctors come to me and they'll be like, well, what do I do about this patient and stuff with the mono eating cleanse? And they say, well, yeah, we're doing it. It's starting to work. And what happens is it's easy on the digestion. It helps you restore your adrenals back. It helps to restore your digestion. But you might want to think about, what are you doing? Like, are you doing a lot of fats? Is that happening? Is that going on? And it's not just the fats. It's even more than that. Is there vinegar in there? It kills the gastric glands. So when we do acetic acid, like apple cider vinegar, even if we do it once every couple of weeks, we basically wipe our stomach glands clean in a negative way. We just bash them. We just wipe them out, so they don't have any more gastric juice, because they lost it all from the acetic acid. So when we drop down a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of acetic acid, our stomach glands, they just spill their guts. They spill everything they have left, and then they're just done. That's what acetic acid does. It's like, oh, I'll just have some apple cider vinegar here. Let me just do some apple cider vinegar. And meanwhile, the stomach glands, they're just these tiny little glands that produce your stomach acid, your gastric acid, these tiny little glands. And when you throw in that apple cider vinegar, they almost explode. I mean, literally, not literally almost explode, but they do explode every gastric juice they can possibly muster up, and they just spill it all out, and then they're wiped out. And they sit there wiped out, and then it takes days to restore, and then we do apple cider vinegar again, or vinegar again. And it takes a lot of mineral salts. Are you doing enough celery juice? Are you doing celery juice every single day? Are you restoring those stomach glands and getting them back? So yeah, our digestion can get wiped out. It can get wiped out easy if we've already had years and years of high fat, years and years of vinegar, years and years of caffeine. If you did caffeine 10 years ago and you don't do it anymore, and you did alcohol 15 years ago, and you did nutritional yeast, so you did apple cider vinegar 10 years ago, and you've already been on the high fat year after year. Who hasn't? Everybody is. the digestive system's going to get wonky, 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 wonky. And then when you try to heal it, a lot of fats are being used. It's like, hey, avocado's healthy. Let me eat that every single day. Let me make avocado toast. Hey, nut butters are healthy. Let me do lots of nut butter. Let me do almond milk, all that almond milk, all the oat milk, right? And then finally, everything just goes done. Everything's like done. Just exhausted. Your liver is exhausted. Adrenals are exhausted. Stomach glands are exhausted. And everything's just done. And that's what happens. And then you might have some pathogens going on. You might have some streptococcus. Might have a little bit of strep. Like my little strep model right here. And there it is. What people don't realize, and science research doesn't know, is bacteria and viruses. There's a little virus right here. Okay. Bacteria and viruses eat food. So when you're doing some gluten, when you're doing a little gluten, this is a piece of lettuce. It's not gluten. So I don't have any gluten in this house. But say this is a piece of gluten right here, right? So it's floating around. It's in your liver or it's in your bloodstream, and you got that streptococcus. Oh, you don't have strep? I heard somebody just say they don't have strep. I did. And I didn't hear it myself through my own ear. I heard it from Spirit of Compassion. Somebody just said, Spirit of Compassion said, that they don't have strep. So this is a waste of their time. That's what Spirit just said to me. I should probably tell you guys more about what Spirit says to me as I got to do all these lives. It's actually really hard. But guess what? You do have strep. If you had strep throat when you were a kid, you got strep. Got acne, you got strep. If you ever had a UTI, yeast infection, you got strep. Any kind of chronic sinusitis, you got strep. Everybody's got strep, even if the symptoms don't come out. Bladder infection, kidney infection, whatever. And as that gluten swimming around in you, right? That strep bacteria likes to gobble it up. I don't know if this can actually... And it absorbs it right up. It absorbs it through the membrane. Boop, 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 boop. The gluten went right in there. How do you like that? The strep bacteria just absorbed the gluten. Wow. And it's munching that right up, right? And then all of a sudden that streptococcus gets nice and strong. And then it goes up into the derma a little bit higher. And all of a sudden, whoa, I got cystic acne now. I just broke out with a little cystic acne here, a little cystic acne here. And that's because of strep. But guess what? The doctor's going to tell you you're hormonal, and that's why you broke out with your acne. Because they don't know it's streptococcus. They'll think it's hormones because they blame everybody on hormones. Everything's on hormones. But what happens is if you're going through a period of time where you actually are hormonal in the sense where your cycle or menstruation or anything like that, your immune systems drop. So when your immune systems drop, the strep can get stronger. That does happen, but it's not the hormones causing it. It's not how it works. Cystic acne isn't something that for centuries women had. This is new. Acne is actually new. So you mean to tell me all those hundreds of years women didn't have hormones? Did women just develop hormones in the last 60 years? Because I'm confused about that one. Did women just develop hormones in the last 80 years? Because I'm confused. Because guess what? Acne wasn't even on the list. Anyway, got some bacteria here. And what that bacteria does, that bacteria loves to eat. Viruses love to eat. Got a little bit of Epstein Barr in you. Whoa, it loves to eat. Loves to eat that gluten. Yum, yum, yum. Nom, 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 nom. There's over 30 varieties of shingles. There's over 60 varieties of Epstein Barr. And there's over 50 groups of streptococcus and hundreds of strains of strep. And everybody's passing them around. I got a friend that's like, I just don't feel good these days. I don't feel good. I feel really tired. My throat's really sore. I said, what you been doing? I don't know. I don't know why I have this. I don't know what's going on. Well, what's happening? Did you meet anybody? Yeah, I'm dating this new person. I said, you are? Yeah, dating this new person and doing a lot of kissing. I'm like, okay, well, did it come on after that? Yeah, it did. Well, I think you need to clean up that strep. I think you picked up a new strep. You know, And you can pick them up from the public bathrooms. You can pick them up from the public toilets. You can pick them up from restaurants. I mean, people get probably the most strep comes from relationships, and then I'd probably say the second is public places like restaurants. People prepping your food. Strep just drips off of people's heads. Chefs in the kitchen, the kitchens are 100 degrees in a lot of these restaurants, and sweat is dripping off their temples with strep in it and dropping in everybody's food. Oh, here you go. You got your salad. Here it is. Get it to the table as fast as possible. Ring that bell. All right, guys, I'm steaming up some asparagus and Brussels sprouts. Jennifer, can you tell me about oxalates? My friend says they are in plants, fruit that makes her sick. Well, may as well just quit all fruits and vegetables. Never eat any fruits and vegetables ever again, and then you'll end up on the carnivore diet where it's just meat. And, my God, and then you'll just age really fast because there's no antioxidants, there's no anything. So I'll give you a little rundown on oxalates. Oxalates is a theory. It's a theory with no science behind it. So that's one of the problems with all the theories, is they get everybody in trouble. There's no real scientific study, since everybody wants to study. Hey, everybody wants to study here, study. There's no scientific study that actually has shown or proven in any way, on any level, that an oxalate causes any kind of issues with someone's health. It's not even possible. They haven't even found a link. They haven't even found there's not one study that can show someone getting oxalates from some kind of food and having a problem. It doesn't exist. So it's a theory, number one. Number two, oxalates, yeah, they don't cause a problem. But oxalates in fruits and vegetables don't cause a problem. But you know what happens is when you're really sick, or you're really toxic, and you eat some fruits, you eat some leafy greens, you eat some vegetables, you're going to start cleansing, possibly, if you're really toxic and your liver's really toxic, and you might experience something. But yet if you gobble down some eggs, the eggs just turn to glue, and they seem like they go fine. They seem like they work fine. You eat some eggs, it's like it just turns into this gluey glop that sits in the middle of your stomach and sits in the middle of your digestive system and finds its way down over time. And that gluey glop feels kind of easy and comforting and feels all right. But when you're really toxic and you're eating arugula, look at this beautiful arugula right here. You're eating butterleaf lettuce every day, and you're really toxic, and you're eating basil. It's antiviral, antibacterial compounds. You're eating basil. You're going to start cleaning some stuff up. You have some onion, which you're going to get that sulfur that kills bugs, and you're doing your lemons, right? And you're cleansing your liver. You're going to start feeling something if you're really, really toxic. And you know what? If somebody put a spook in your head like, oh, it's oxalates, that's what's going on. Meanwhile, the funniest thing is the oxalate theory comes from people that they don't even know what's wrong with people. They don't even know why people are sick. They don't know why people have Hashimoto's. They don't know why people are sick with anything. They don't know why people have any conditions. And so why is everybody an expert? Why is everybody an expert about things like oxalates and lectins? Come on. You're an expert? You don't know why people are sick? Oh, they're sick because of processed foods? Oh, that's bullshit. Sick from processed foods, that's why they're sick? There's a lot of 80-year-olds eating processed foods their whole life. They ain't sick. There's 85-year-olds, 89-year-olds eating gluten their whole life. They're not sick. You know why gluten makes somebody else sick and doesn't make somebody else sick? Is because the 89-year-old didn't have all those bugs, all the streps and all the Epstein Barrs and all the shingles and HHV6s and HHV7s and simplex 1s and simplex 2s. They didn't have all those. So it's not lectins, it's not oxalates. There's real reasons why people are sick. I love these theories that just, I don't know. It's just incredible, really. I guess everybody has to play guessing games when they don't know why anybody's sick. So it just goes around. And then they'll blame it on genes. Blame it on genes, blame it on the body attacking itself. So all our genes went bad. Your genes are bad now. Your child's genes are bad now. Your kid's genes are bad. All our genes went bad in 20 years. thousands of years go by and all our genes went bad. It's unbelievable. I think I just saw a question. Was it a bone marrow question? What about bone marrow failure? Amanda, you know, I've given a lot of information about that to a couple of different clinics, medical clinics over the years. I used to lecture a lot and see a lot of doctor friends in medical clinics and stuff. And I used to tell them it's always the toxic heavy metals. So bone marrow failure is mercury, it's aluminum inside the bones, a lot of mercury inside the bones, a little bit of lead inside the bones. That's where we get in trouble. A lot of fluoride inside the bones, All right, so I'm steaming these up. Anyway, so you guys, what to avoid? Well, I'd stay away from gluten, right? Some of you guys are probably like, that's a no-brainer. You know, but everybody just seems to run back to it. They're back on it one way or another. They're doing gluten again. And the reason why I think is because they just don't know really what happens. And like I was showing you before, gluten feeds every bug there is inside of our body. Esther says, why do younger people have these bugs? There's a lot more aggressive bugs than ever before, mutated strains. They get passed around a lot more now than they ever did in the past. You know, that's how it goes. The bugs have mutated. They're more virulent. So that's another thing too. Spreads so much easier. Years and years and years ago, the first few Epstein bars over the years didn't really spread so easy. But they also manufactured a lot of new bugs. So they manufactured a lot of new bugs. So the private medical system, it's a little virus right here, little Epstein bar to show you guys. The private medical industry manufactured a lot of new bugs, and they've been released. And these new bugs have been released in the last probably 40 years. They've been raised on eggs. So pretend this is an egg. When you got a little bit of egg matter floating around in your body, and you got the Epstein-Barr virus, especially a mutated one of the newer strains, you're going to go in and eat that egg. There you go, and the egg's gone. It's in the virus. And the virus multiplies easier. So why are younger people sicker now with pathogens? Is because just in the last 30, 40 years, they really let out a lot of them. The private medical industry really let out a lot of new Epstein-Barrs, a lot of mutated versions also. When they go from person to person to person as the years go by, they mutate and they become a little bit more virulent, a little bit more virulent, a little bit more virulent. They spread easy too in restaurants. Not as easy as they did years ago. I mean, much more easier than they did years ago in restaurants. There's a lot of reasons. These are just some of them. Now we have toxins like we never had before. We have so many toxins and chemicals and pollutions. And we got not just pollution. We're talking about air fresheners and scented candles drop the immune system. So we're losing our immune systems now too. So the younger people are sicker than ever before with viruses and bacteria, Epstein-Barrs and shingles, because their immune systems are dropping more so than ever before in our history. Because they've never been exposed to the chemical companies to the degree they are. So children now are eating chemicals 24/7. They're eating scented candles. It's just breathing it in. It's going in their mouth. They're eating air fresheners, colognes, perfumes, aftershaves. The worst thing to have in the house. Dad throws on some aftershave and hugs his child, and that aftershave is so toxic and immune system lowering. So this is just, you know, we have the toxins we have now and the heavy metals now too that are in all of this, and the pesticides, the herbicides. They're spraying more mosquito spray for no reason. More mosquito spray, more West Nile spray, more fungicide on highways, more herbicide in parks than ever before in our history. It's fire retardant all over people's beds, all over clothing, fire retardant on couches. It's all about killing our immune systems. The chemical companies want to destroy our immune systems, apparently. And then you have more violent strains of Epstein-Barr, more mutated versions of shingles, more mutated versions of HHV6, HHV7, off the chart. Simplex won the cold sore that everybody has. There's a dozen of those now. Easy dozen of those mutated now. Not everybody's simplex is the same simplex. I remember years ago, somebody coming to me for help, and they had a simplex. They went on a date, and after the date, they had a simplex on their tongue, and it never went away. It was a mutated version. It stayed there. It stayed there for like ever. And they asked the other person, did they have anything like that? Because they were like, where did this? And the other person said, yeah, I didn't disclose it to you and I didn't tell you, but I've had that on my tongue too for like the last 20 years. Anyway, and those cold sores, when they do go away on people, they're still in your system. They go in the trigeminal nerve. They cause trigeminal neuralgia a little bit. Shingles does too, but it causes problems. What I'm saying is we need to do things about it. We can clean this stuff up. It's not about being, you don't have to be afraid of bugs. That's not it. You just clean them up and you don't feed them. You don't feed them eggs. That's an egg yolk. It's not an egg yolk. But you don't feed them eggs, you don't feed them gluten, you don't feed them milk, cheese, and butter. And you can clean them up. Some are harder to deal with, some are a little bit stronger, some have a little bit more mutated, some are a little bit more aggressive, some people have more toxic heavy metals in their system, some people have more toxins in their system, some people have lowered immune systems because of these things, and it's a little bit harder. But yes, you don't have to fear anything. You just have to get better, do the right stuff, and get it out of your system, clean up, knock this stuff out, kill it off, is what you do. And you kill it off, you knock it out of your system, and you move forward, and you heal. What is the pan you're using? Check out my directory, medicalmedium.com. I got some kitchenware on there, medicalmedium.com. There's a kitchenware directory. So I'm steaming up, I don't know if you guys see this, steaming up some asparagus, some Brussels sprouts. They're just about done. I'm making a salad. I'm going to cut up some potatoes now. I'm going to do that. I'm doing the arugula potato asparagus salad if you guys just came on. Is it right there? Medical Medium New Edition. And that's what I'm making right now. Incredible having you guys here. Now what I'm doing is, what I like to do in a pan is I like to steam these up in a pan and only put a little bit of water so the water eventually goes away. And then they kind of get a little toasty in here so that when they go on the salad, they're not going on the salad dripping wet with water, right? That's the way I like to do it. Instead, they're like getting nice and toasty now. I got the pan on high. The water's already been evaporated. They've already done some steaming in the pan. And now they're getting a little toasty. There's still some moisture in the pan, so I really like it that way. So let me start making a salad. Let me get some greens together in a bowl. I'm going to chop up some butter leaf lettuce. Let me show you what I got, you guys. Some butter leaf right here. On the other side, I have arugula. I'm going to chop up a little bit. I see my neighbors spraying, the local council spraying around parks and rivers, and they aren't even wearing masks or gloves. People, children, and animals are all around them. It makes me so angry. Yeah. Did you know, and I've seen this, did you know what's on the barrels of that stuff? It's a skull and crossbones. Skull and crossbones. Did you know the guys that handle the barrels of chemical that actually eventually gets diluted and put into, sprayed and put into parks and all that same chemical, they die really young. It's a job you only have for like 20 years and then you're done. You're done. It's horrible. I've seen photographs of those barrels. Skull and crossbones. I mean, seriously. Skull and crossbones on those barrels. I'm not kidding. And then guess what? Chemical companies want your babies to have it all over them in the park. They want your babies to have it all, children. Chemical companies, I truly believe, want people poisoned. Why else would they put their deadly chemicals in parks? And why would counties and states and villages and wherever you live around the world, why would they let that happen? Can someone tell me? Because I've always said it's a sick world. See, Money says, viruses can't live in carnivore blood. That's why the carnivore diet works for autoimmune. Well, so if you're on a carnivore diet, wait a minute, viruses can't live in carnivore blood? Does that mean that, okay, so while you're on the carnivore diet, I get it. This is not true. Viruses feed off of toxic heavy metals, and when you're a carnivore, you're not eating any foods. When you're doing the carnivore diet, you're not eating any of the foods to get the metals out. So all your metals are sitting inside of you, and the viruses will feed on the metals. Yeah, I give you this, though. I give you this. You're not eating, well, you might be eating eggs. If you're doing eggs on a carnivore diet, you're feeding the heck out of those viruses. Big time. If you're doing raw cheese on that carnivore diet, you're feeding those viruses. Just say if you're doing eggs, you're feeding the viruses. Okay? Right there. Now, if your carnivore diet is corn-fed, it's corn-fed, you're feeding the viruses with the meat you're eating. Make sure none of your meat you're eating in a carnivore diet is corn-fed. Okay? And, but yeah, I get it. You removed your gluten. You removed your milk, cheese, butter probably. If you're doing the butter, you're feeding your viruses. So I know people on a carnivore diet, they're doing butter. You're feeding the viruses. They're doing eggs. You're feeding the viruses. If you're only doing meat and meat only and you're eating just the animal flesh and that's it, you're still going to have toxic heavy metals feeding the viruses in there. And then you end up getting symptoms later. So you can be on your carnivore diet doing okay, and then you get symptoms later. It happens all the time. Because eventually the viruses will still feed. And here's the other thing too. If you're on a carnivore diet and you're not doing any fruits and vegetables and you're not cleaning up the liver, your liver is just going to get more beaten down, more fatty, and then more fat building up in your liver. And the fat builds so much in your liver that you end up having a problem, and then boom, you're sick anyway with other problems. You got gout. And then if you're on the high-fat diet nonstop, because you're just on carnivore, so you're eating the high-fat diet nonstop, you're burning out the adrenals. Over time, you're going to get some adrenal fatigue, and you're going to then end up binging on some kind of carbohydrate. I'm not ranking on the carnivore diet. I'm just saying that you don't have a free pass on a carnivore diet. Look, you don't have a free pass on a vegan diet, plant-based diet, animal protein diet. There's no free pass on any of it. Because if you're doing all these fats on a plant-based diet, you don't have a free ticket. If you're doing all this vinegar, you don't have a free ticket. If you're doing all this nutritional yeast, you don't have a free ticket. If you're doing all this caffeine, you don't have a free ticket. No one has a free ticket unless they really, really, really avoid everything and then clean up what's happening. Chopping up some arugula right here. You don't have to chop this up, but I want to. I don't care what diet you're on. I don't care if a Martian arrived on your back porch on a little spaceship and gave you a brand new diet from outer space. If you don't know why you're sick or what causes your symptoms, it's not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. You have to know what the cause of your problem is, your symptoms, why you're sick. You have to. That's a big part of it. So I got some butter leaf lettuce. I got some arugula right here. So I'm going to start putting some other I'm going to start cutting an onion. Let's do that. Bev asks, what oils do you cook with? None. Nada. Zilcho. Don't need to. Just a little bit of water. You don't have to cook in oils. You know, that whole rule of cooking with oils, it's really not necessary. These are fat-free meals so that you can get a break and your liver can get a break once in a while. So you can just take a break. I'm going to slice up this onion right here. You can do white onion. I like red onion too, so I'll do red. Here's a white one right here too. But I'm going to cut these nice and thin. So I like keeping these fat-free. That's what I like to do, because there's fats, like I said earlier. I think I said earlier, there's fats in everything. There's fats in Brussels sprouts. There's fats in asparagus. There's fats in lettuce. Butterleaf lettuce has omegas in it, as I was telling you guys earlier. So I'm cutting up some onion right here. Gonna put some red onion on the salad. Got some red onion. So let me start putting some potatoes in here. Gonna cut these up. Is there a test for viral issues? I mean, there's some basic tests. You can see if you have a infection of Epstein Barr. See if you have some Epstein Barr titers. But to be honest, they don't know what viruses do. And just so you know, before medical medium books were published and medical medium information came out, they didn't even know Epstein-Barr had an afterlife. Epstein-Barr has an afterlife. Causes Hashimoto's thyroiditis, causes RA, rheumatoid arthritis, causes lupus, causes Lyme disease. They didn't know that, Epstein-Barr had an afterlife. And the publication of this book, the publication of this first edition that came out years ago, busted out the truth about what Epstein-Barr does and everything, and how you can get the reactivation, you can get, the virus comes back, comes out of dormancy again, and sits inside your liver and all this stuff. Now science and research is actually taking it seriously years later after I've already published the information. And so it's interesting. But they didn't even know. They had no clue. They thought Epstein-Barr was just mono and it went away, and that's it. So I'm bringing the bowl over for now. Okay, I got this virus in the way right here. I got to move him. It's a cute little bugger, that virus. Move these asparagus over. So here's the salad I'm making right here. Barbara Butler, I just joined. What do you use to wash your organic vegetables? Look, if I'm going to cook them, I use hot water. So I use hot water. I get a big old bowl and put some hot water in it coming out of the sink. I use an unscented mild dish soap. I like to do that too. And in the water, just a couple of drops. I massage the vegetables, massage the greens, rinse it out a couple of times, and I'm good. That's what I like to do. Massage your fruits and vegetables. So I'm going to put some asparagus in here. I still got some other things to go in here too. I got lemon. I got to make the dressing. Terry says you're helping make vegetables look yummy. Incredible. Incredible. I'm really excited about these, actually. Annette says, can you explain driving an adrenaline surge? Lays. Can you explain driving and adrenaline surges? Well, adrenaline surges can happen. We always have mild adrenaline surges. So we always have mild ones with whatever we do. So anything we do, all right, our nervous systems are always hyperly attached to our adrenals. You get a phone call and you're nervous about the phone call, your adrenals are going. You're getting an adrenal surge. You get some bad news on your phone, somebody texts you, maybe it's a friend or not a friend, and they say some terrible things on your text or something, and now you're just shaking, you're shaking. And you're just like, oh my God, and you're sitting on your couch looking at your phone like, what the hell just happened, and you're shaking. That's adrenal surge. Get some, anything could happen. You hear a knock on the door and you're like, wait a minute, I thought I had a package delivery. Is it stolen? And all of a sudden you get an adrenal surge because you think your package that was delivered was stolen. Where's my wallet? I can't find it. Oh my God, did I leave it at the grocery store? You get adrenal surge. So you get adrenal surges all day long, right? You bump your head on the cupboard and you're like, oh my God, is this a concussion? This really hurts. I feel an egg growing on my head. I got to get some ice. Should I run to the doctor? Should I call the emergency room? You get your adrenals are surging. It's nonstop, right? So I'm just saying. So, and then the caffeine, that's a big one right there. That's every time you do caffeine, you just put caffeine in your system and the surges don't stop. They don't stop, you guys. You eat some chocolate, those surges don't stop. That's like, if your package wasn't stolen or you lost your wallet for 5 minutes and you found it, your surges stop, right? But man, caffeine, it's got this evil twist to it. Once you get it in your system, your adrenals have no choice. They're sitting there panting. They're panting. They're surging. They're surging. They're surging. You can't stop it. It'll surge for a day. Caffeine will make them surge for 3 days. It'll make them surge a little less when it's wearing out, but they'll still be surging. It's like people live their life with their adrenals surging, forced by caffeine, and they think they're getting energy from caffeine. I'm going to put some basil on here. I got this beautiful basil leaves right here. And what's really happening though is their adrenals are just getting beat to crap. Really are from the caffeine. So that surges them right there. That's a big deal. And then the high-fat diets. This meal right here won't surge. It won't surge, cause adrenal surge. This meal won't. It just can't. If you dropped 2 tablespoons of olive oil on here and threw some pine nuts on here, right? Tastes amazing probably, right? Threw some tahini on here. All that fat would then start thickening your blood right when when you eat it, it gets down in here and now it starts to surge. The adrenals start to surge because the fat is starting to absorb into your bloodstream. And once the fat starts to absorb into your bloodstream, your adrenals have to release all this epinephrine to thin out your blood so your heart doesn't have to pump so hard. All that fat you put in, it just makes your heart pump. So I get it. It's okay to have some tahini. Look, I'm not anti-tahini. I'm not anti-hemp seeds, anti-peanut butter, anti-almond butter. I'm not anti-pine nuts. I'm not anti-avocado. I'm not anti-oil. And if you love animal protein, I support you. But what I'm trying to say is we don't stop. No one gets a break. It's 24/7. It's fats every single day. No one gets a day off. Your liver doesn't get a day off. Your adrenals don't get your day off. Your heart doesn't get a day off. I mean, seriously, your heart is up against that nonstop. So nothing gets a break. So it's like, oh, more fat. Hey, more avocado. Whoop. The next day comes peanut butter in my oatmeal. Whoop. Next day comes olive oil on my salad. Next day comes lots of chicken at night. It doesn't stop. Pork, chicken, beef, milk, cheese, butter, eggs. Let me have an egg. Whoop. There we go. Lots of fat again. It just doesn't stop. So then your heart is like, it just doesn't stop. And your heart has to pump. It has to literally pump all that fat through. And your adrenals have to thin out the blood. It's just, and then the plaque builds up. The plaque, all that plaque later on. You're 70 years old, you got plaque all in the arteries, the veins. Veins start collapsing. Let me put some of this on here, you guys. Putting these beautiful pieces of asparagus on here. And then the other thing is toxins absorb in all that fat. Every time toxins, fat soluble. Fat, toxin soluble. They just absorb into each other like perfectly. So I'm putting a little bit of some Brussels and some asparagus on here. This is beautiful right here. It's potatoes. This is looking amazing. It really is. I'm going to drop some thyme on here, about a teaspoon of dried thyme. Put a little bit of that on here. And I forgot the parsley. I still have to put some parsley, 1/4 cup of parsley on. Sorry, you guys. A little bit of thyme. Wasn't easy to come out. Let me chop up a little parsley. Okay. And I got it right here. All right. I'm going to chop this up. So my job is just to teach you guys to give your body a break, get the healing foods, know what causes symptoms and conditions, give you every chance to heal. No one else is doing it. I mean, it's crazy. It's like You'll listen to the best podcast guys or the best health gurus out there, and they don't even know what causes sickness. They're too busy reading matcha tea studies, looking for some special antioxidant in matcha tea, paid for by the caffeine industry. And then they'll end up thinking it's just your genes anyway. That's why you're sick. And they won't be trying to get metals out. And if they are, they're trying to do it because I brought it to light. Spent 35 years teaching people about toxic heavy metals. It's not because I'm special. That's for sure. So I'm going to put some lemon on here. I looked everywhere. Tell me where to find your 369 protocol. Get Cleanse to Heal if you can. Get it from the library. If you can't afford the book, even though it's on sale, Amazon.com, it's $16.99. Incredible price. It's a medical textbook, but you can go to the library and get it for free. And the 369 Cleanse, the Advanced Cleanse, Simplified Cleanse, Original Cleanse, and you can pick the one you want. The answers are in the books. But, you know, and what I love about these foods is that they're healing foods. But when you combine healing foods with the fact that you remove the foods that are troublesome, then you're moving forward, you know? So let's put a little lemon on top of here. So basically, I'm going to use a strainer so the seeds aren't going in here. A tablespoon of lemon is fine on here. I can't wait to eat this tonight. Here's the other thing about all the fats. You keep on doing all the fats every day. All you do is cause corrosion with the toxic heavy metals that are in your brain. So let me show you this. So metals are heavy and they don't just stay in the bloodstream. That's why they can't find them. No one can really find them. And you get blood tests for it. But metals are heavy, so they sit inside organs. So they go deep inside organ tissue. So they go deep inside your brain. And that's when the OCD starts, the bipolar starts, anxiety, depression starts, depersonalization starts, schizophrenia starts, whatever starts. And emotional ups and downs that can't be explained, all of it. So you get the toxic heavy metals and they sit inside the brain. And then you eat all the fat. So you gobble down all the pork and the chicken, the milk, cheese, and the butter, and the eggs, and the almond butter, and all the seeds and nuts, and the peanut butter, and oils, and the coconut oil. And what happens is all that fat in the bloodstream goes around the metal. It starts to hit the metal, and then the metal oxidizes. Fat causes the metal to oxidize, and then it bleeds over into different parts of the brain and different tissue, and then your conditions get worse over time. And electrical impulses have a hard time getting through the metal, so it starts to get shocked in there. And so here's a half a brain. So on this half a brain, you got little metal deposits. See, I put these little deposits here. These are big ones, so this is just a demo. That's not what it looks like. You can't see the microscopic metal in the brain unless it causes so much corrosion over time, or it's a large enough deposit, and then it causes a gray area, gray spot, dark spot, or some type of crystallization on the MRI eventually as you get older. And blood tests aren't accurate for finding metals. And here they are. So electrical impulses are firing through your brain. They're hitting the metal deposits, and it's like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay today, honey? I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just really pissed off. I'm angry, and I don't know. I feel really emotional. And is your bipolar back? I don't know. I just gotta leave. I gotta get out of here. And what happens is electrical impulses are just they're hitting the toxic heavy metal deposits. And it's like, God, my depression is so bad today. It's so bad. I don't know what it is. And that's corrosion from the toxic heavy metals moving into other tissue. And my anxiety is through the roof. I feel like it's going to give me a panic attack, and it's got me in my gut, and I'm freaking out inside, and my anxiety is out of control, and I can't breathe, and my chest is tight. Well, that's electrical impulses hitting all those metal deposits, right? And in alternative medicine, they don't even know how to get toxic heavy metals out of people. They're just sending people on wild goose chase with charcoal and collagen and matcha tea. I mean, it's unbelievable. And, you know, and with anxiety, you can have low-grade viral stuff, depression, low-grade viral stuff, but you got to have metals. It's always metals. Metals are always involved. And so, and that's a problem right there. So you guys know about, you know, I mean, I didn't give you any solutions for metals tonight, but I usually show you the spirulina, I show you the barley grass juice powder, cleanse the heal I talk about here, the heavy metal detox cleanse. There's a heavy metal detox cleanse right here. So, I mean, if you guys feel like you didn't get enough info on that just now, let me just, that's the spirulina I use. That's the Vimergy spirulina. V as in Victor, Imergy, and that's the barley grass juice powder. I'm not sponsored, but that's what I use in the heavy metal detox smoothie every day, and then the wild blueberries. I'll show you guys another time. And so anyway, I got the lemon in here. I'm going to put a little honey on this too. You can do maple syrup or honey. I'm in the mood for honey tonight. I've been doing some extra maple syrup lately, so I'm going to put a little drizzle of honey on top of this. Let's get this on here. So, I mean, that's what happens. So people are walking around with all kinds of different issues left and right, emotionally, mentally, got the anxiety, the depression, and then they get the Parkinson's too, and the tremors, and the tics, and the spasms, and the Tourette's. And what about the Tourette's? Laura, Marie, are the potatoes cooked? Yes, they are. They're steamed potatoes is what they are. So if you want to know, they're steamed potatoes. There it is. That's the recipe in the new edition. Link is in the description, you guys. So there's the Brussels sprouts, the asparagus, and the arugula, of course, butterleaf lettuce I put in there, the basil. I'm really excited about this dish. And this dish is fat-free. It's fat-free. I mean, how cool is that? So, you guys, check out Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcasts. 17 episodes, docu-series style episodes. It's free. I got meditations, stargazing meditation, moon meditation. I mean, they're there for you. The brain meditation, picking fruit meditation. And then you can check out the episodes. The B12 episode, potato episode. You got to listen to those. The egg episode, chemtrail episode if you want. The fruit fear episode. Neurological symptoms episode, brain fog episode, and chemical, like the air fresheners episode. There's 17 episodes. Check them out. They're new, they're recent, and more coming pretty soon. There's an anxiety episode too. Medical Medium Podcast at Apple Podcasts. So check those out. I'm heading over to IG and TikTok. The meal is done. I love you guys. And are you coming to IG and TikTok? Because let's do it. Darlene says, love the podcast. Awesome. I'm glad you're listening to them. Lunel, they're all packed with info. Thanks, Loon. Awesome. Good to see you guys. I see some of you guys from YouTube, some of you guys from Facebook. Margaret, Valentine, good to see you, Margaret. I see you leave comments all the time on YouTube. Thanks for so much support. You're supporting others. You're always being helpful. Incredible. You guys, I'll see you later. Heading over to IG and TikTok at the same